That took a little while today, but we are live. Welcome to this week's episode of Footballers. I'm joined by Matt. How are we doing, Matt?
Old reliable in the house. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm doing well, mate. Enjoying the nice weather as the UK experiences what we would regard as a heat wave, but to some of our more global friends, it's probably next to nothing. But sunshine and no rain equals guns out sort of thing, regardless of heat in the UK. So we're enjoying a spot of nice weather, which means probably a little less Ultimate Team played than normal. However, I have been playing a little bit over the last few days. I've actually started Weekend League tonight at the time of recording. We're on Monday evening, and the amount of people who like bomb out of games in rapid fashion on a Monday is quite hilarious. So maybe this is the time to be playing. They give up so easy.
Yeah, that seems to be the
All
thing.
bang,
Doesn't
get
it?
out to the beer garden.
Yeah.
As soon as you
But-
score, is go away.
It's our driest spring in nearly 100 years. Golf course needs some water bad. Hunter sent his apologies. He had to miss tonight. He's heard a rumour that Jill and Joe Biden are on The View, so he really wanted to stay at home and watch that, so we'll give him a pass. We know how much he loves Jill and Joe. But anyway, on to
Can't miss
foot. It's team of the season time, and
Again,
again, it feels like it's been going on a little while already, but we're now Bundesliga, and if I'm honest, I wish I'd have saved my packs for Bundesliga because
you like the look of this one, do you?
yeah, I really, really do. There's cards in this team that I really, really like, and the Turkish league. There's Talisca in there who's my guy. Fred the Red, his card looks decent as well. But this Bundes team, there's some real value here. Have you used any of them, Matt?
I've packed a few, and the only one I've used is Doan, the Japanese forward, and there's a good reason that we're going to mention him right now. As per what we chatted about last week, whereby there was shortage. There are no players with Flair Plus and either version of Tiki Taka. Now there is. Doan is the first card that you can pack in game that has Flair Plus and regular Tiki Taka. So quite a special card. I haven't tested him out to the fullest of extent, but he is sort of a super sub for me at the moment, and he is able to create some of those tasty sort of no-look first-time back-heel passes and whatnot that we kind of suspected would be the case with that combination of play styles. So I want to spend a bit more time on that one, but he's effectively discarded is like less than 20k. So if you're curious about it, go and try that out. But I've packed a few, the highlight of which is Kimmich, which is funny because I packed whatever the last version of Kimmich was that was worth quite a bit of coins and barely used that one. So they're like really trying to get me to use this card for some reason this year. It doesn't really fit what I want to do, although I should probably take him for a spin because it's the arguably, other than Barcola, the best card I've packed during TOTS so far. Other than that, just some regular fodder type stuff. But one card that I would really like to try out of this that I think would slide straight into the map meta very nicely is Hincapié, the centre-back from Leverkusen. Just really good rounded defensive stats, very fast, long ball plus, which I love from a player who can play left back as well. So you can just transfer it, switch wings really easy and start counter-attacks that way, as we were doing with Kivior last year. So I will be buying that one when I think it hits its low point in value. And generally, though, I'm like keeping my powder dry for Serie A. That's what I'm all about. I don't see the need to dramatically change the team I've already got when I'm probably going to go full steam into that team when it's released. So I'm just like cherry picking the odd player here and there. But Hincapié would be one I'd be very interested in for sure.
Yeah, he's one of the only ones, like decentish ones that I've packed from this Bundes team. I'm not seeing. I don't know if it's just me, but the pack weight seems to be a lot lower than Prem for sure.
You think?
Well, it has been for me. I've not been getting many at all.
I think I've done slightly better than Prem, but obviously nowhere near as well as we did on Liga and Eredivisie and stuff like that.
The cheap ones that I wanted, I've packed Talisca, which was
that's a good one.
If I'd just got that from this week, I would have been quite happy.
I'm a little bit disappointed in that because I've put a lot of time into evoing the most recent inform of Talisca, which I thought was a really good card, and now they go and put this out for like next to nothing. That's kind of screwed the pooch on that one. But just whilst we're on the subject of Talisca stroke the Super League, this is the one out of these three that have come out this week, right? This is where all the rarity is. I think there's some like outstanding, unusual cards in this one. Like that Fred for 140k is just like a perfect pivot player. Like you're not going to go rampage down the pitch and score as a goal with him, but the left stick on him will be amazing, and it'll just be so good for recycling possession of the ball. And I've come up against Masuaku, the left back who used to play for West Ham, quite a few times, and he seems faster than his card stats would suggest. Like he's very dynamic, like really good at progressing the ball. So there's some absolutely like OP elite priced cards in here, like Osimhen. I would love to try that one out, especially with 4 play styles. But then there's lots of value as well. I suspect probably the best centre back that we've had in TOTS so far could be Davinson Sanchez. Like he is ridiculous. Like the stats on that card are unbelievable. Other than he can't really pass much. I'm just going to break that down very quickly. I mean, he's good for short passing, which is fine, but his overall passing stat is brought down by a lack of like crossing and free kick accuracy and stuff that no one really cares about. So I suppose he's fine. He does even have long ball play style, so very interesting. But I can imagine, given the size of him, the speed, the power, that's going to be a very difficult card to come up against. So unfortunately, I've not packed anyone though from the Super League, so I'm shit out of luck on that one.
I did come up against Davinson yesterday, and it does seem very, very good. This Talisca card, let's talk about Talisca a little bit. I think this might be the best ever Talisca card. With the low driven, the pinged pass, the acrobat for all you corner rats out there is just Talisca. He's got Silva quick step, he's got first touch, Travella Silva. I wish he had Finesse Plus, but you know, we might get there at some point with Finesse Plus for him. But for now, he's in my team. Really enjoying using him, and brings me back to the good Talisca cards that we've had over the years.
I think it makes like how much of a big difference does it make for you because you've got an emotional attachment to that player. He's obviously a very good card, but you're going to try a little bit harder, a little bit sweatier with that card than some other runs from Team of the Season. You're going to get a lot out of that one, perhaps more so than the average Joe, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I were using Bruno Fernandes a little bit there, cam, because I'm using a 4-2-2 at minute, so with 2 cams. I've got the new Cole Palmer as 1 cam, and Talisca's now the other. And they've got a bit of height to them, so you know, I'll ping balls out to them. They'll win headers. They've got a bit of strength, and I feel like at the moment having that strength's really important with these big burly centre backs that are just lurking about trying to break you in half. Yeah, but it's always fun, isn't it? That's why Evos are amazing, because it's always a lot more fun to score with cards that you've got that emotional attachment to. And I have got I don't know if I've got 2 or 3 other Talisca Evos in my club that
All
haven't been
based
good
off
enough.
different original cards.
Yeah, haven't been good
Nice.
enough for a while, so I've not, and I haven't felt like they've been the perfect Evo for him. So I'd not bothered. But yeah, he's the man. If you're looking for a fun card, there's loads of these cards that you can use to great effect. Talisca Incape that you were on about, Matt, I think he's 25k. But on the high end of this Bundes team, I really want to use Wirtz, and I will do this week. I've been using Elise in the start of my weekend league team instead
I hate
of Palmer.
that card already.
And yeah, he's kept, like, he's up with the power curve. Like his card that I played with his earlier on in the year, Thunderstruck, I think it was. Just blasting finesses from all over. I'm using this card a little bit different to that, but he's still as effective. Musiala, he's another card I want to use.
Basically,
Luckily,
you
they're
want
all-
the buying team, don't you? I mean, that's what the Bundesliga team of the season is. It's a little bit one flavour, unfortunately, which makes it a little bit boring for me. Whereas
Yeah.
you compare it to the Turkish league, lots of different clubs represented in there, as well as the big three. And this is just very it's a buying season, so everyone else is just like, yeah, whatever. But Elise is, I know I'm saying the obvious here because he's a right winger on the left foot, but he's very Robin-esque in this game, whereby he's cutting in on his left, he wants to shit ping it from 30 yards with finesse, but you just can't always stop it, even though you know what's going to happen. And with the right player, that is a massive handful, especially because he's got technical plus as well. His dribbling is just going to be so easy to manoeuvre into a finesse position. Oh, yeah, really painful card to play against. You're on mute, mate.
I've been doing that a fair bit with him, Matt. I've been sort of cutting inside for finesse, blasting a couple of finesses, and then when sort of my opponents get into the stage where he's sort of reading that, I'm just cutting down towards byline then and either sweating it back across or going near post finesse with him. And yeah, that's the move. The big boy in this Turkish team that has surprised me with his price, who was extinct for a lot of time, was Osimhen. And he's got 4 play styles. Chip shot. I don't think I've scored a chip shot this year, so that's, a bit of a wasted play style for me. But that card looks like his shooting's almost perfect. 5-star weak foot. Strong as a bull with 97 strength. Dribbling's, apart his agility and balance are 90 and 91, but reactions 98, ball control 96, 92 composure. Like,
yeah, it'd be a nice card to take for a spin, I'm not going to lie.
I feel like he's going to be a Drogba that can move a little bit.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean?
comparison.
Like, he's 6'1", but he's tall and lean. He's not, but he's still strong. So I think he's going to be, he's going to have that. What I'm trying to say, he's going to have that strength and that ability to hold players off. But it's not going to take 3 weeks for him to turn like a Haaland or whatever. I think Jeeves in the chat said that he's going to test him for us at nearly 2 mil. Thanks, Jeeves. That's
we need the feedback immediately, but it's
yeah.
unfortunate we're not going to see this card very often, given its rarity and price. That it's going to be a super uncommon card by the looks of things. So if you have managed to buy or pack up one, you are one of the chosen few. I'm sure it's a lot of fun to play with, though.
This Wirtz card looks very good, but that's going to lead me into actually the Evo that we've just got, because I have got the 91 Wirtz in my club, which I got from some sort of campaign or whatever it was.
You know what?
Don't
I
get
think
me
I
wrong,
just
he's-
I think I just put this into that new icon SBC that came out over the weekend.
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah.
You know, I don't think he's going to be...
No, it was the 90 rated one, I beg your pardon. So maybe I was off the hook.
Yeah, I'm not thinking he's going to be sort of that sort of level as the team of the season, but I don't think he's going to be far off. Dribbling's going to be better, passing's going to be better, but nice play styles nonetheless. Something I'm going to have a look at when I get off, because this new sneak attack Evo has just dropped just before we started recording, and after having just a quick glance, it could be one of the most done Evos of the year, maybe, because there's so many cards that fit into it. My 90 Vieira SBC fits into it, and it gives him all the boosts that he needs to be effective in this game and sort of up to date. He fits some of my Bradford City Evos, which sort of brings them up to sort of team of the season standard. And for 50k, it's for nothing. I think the only issue I've got with this Evo is that you can only do it once.
Yeah, it's one of those that you could just put it on half your database, isn't it? For me, I've got a couple of interesting quandaries. I could put it on Future Stars João Neves, and that would bring that card pretty close to the team of the season, although not quite. Let's not exaggerate too much, but certainly up to standard. And that Future Stars João Neves is interesting because it's got left back, which the other one does not. So if that's useful to you, then fair enough. But the one player that immediately fits that I'm actually still using in my main team is Philip Billing, Future Stars. That card's still super effective for me. He's basically like a lightweight Hullet, and I don't mean like baby Hullet, like just slightly worse than the big boy Hullet. But I love that card. I'm just concerned that if I put him into this one and the upgrade's quite small other than getting the extra play style, that I might not be able to upgrade it again for the duration of this game. So I might just sit on that for a little bit, see what happens with Serie A team of the season. But I've got like a multiple Evo'd in form Scott McTominay could put it into, but he's likely to get a TOTS as well. So it's like trying not to knee-jerk into picking a card to use this one on, but it is one of the more useful budget-friendly Evos that we've had for a while. I think it's very cheap, and so many good cards, including some team of the season cards, fit into this. So if you've been like thinking, some of these team of the seasons I've been packing are trash, or you've just been using them for fodder, if they're like 91, 92, 90, they were always going to be eligible for an Evo. So I hope you haven't wasted them all. One card that a lot of people did early on in game, I think is eligible for this one, is Thunderstruck Barella. That was an SBC right at the beginning of the game that I think was very popular. So that could be an interesting choice. Makes him a little bit more useful, but might still be a little bit behind the power curve, because most central midfielders in the game that have quite high defensive stats, and this one, even with the upgrade, does not. It certainly makes him a much more useful proposition, but not quite team of the season level. So I guess it depends on the makeup of your team, what you're hoping to build out of it. But there's going to be so many good eligible players, and it's a very, very low cost in terms of coins or FIFA points. So you kind of spoiled for choice. So that's a big thumbs up, I think, for EA on that one. I think some of the Evos have been a little bit wishy-washy lately, just spamming us with all sorts of stuff, and everyone kind of feels the need to not miss out on any of them, so just do them without necessarily like a long-term plan as to where their squad's going or what they're going to do with those cards. But this one, I'm sure you can make a card that actually get into your team, which is all you can ask for from an Evo, right?
Yeah. There's been quite a few Evos recently that I wouldn't have done normally, but we've got a couple of newly promoted Bradford City cards that needed a boost or two. And I was just trying to chain them. But it's cost me coins. Do you know what I mean? When I look back, probably a card that I've only got to 75 rating now has probably already cost me over 100k, 150k, and it's still nowhere near usable. But he's probably got a couple of good play styles, and he's ready for the next big one. But that Wirtz I was just talking about with the last Evo, I've just put him in the chat on Twitter, on X. Because the one that I've got's got the 80 defending as well, so that could make that Wirtz card really tasty without having a bit of defensive.
A tasty Wirtz, you say?
Tasty Wirtz, yes. Everyone loves one of those, don't they?
Where's Tashamaka when we need him?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they've needed to do something when it comes to Evos and just content in general. I think this is a discussion that's being had everywhere at the moment when it comes to content, what's being good, what's not being good. And, you know, the SBCs that we've had throughout Team of the Season, I just think have been poor. We've got Due.
Up until this weekend, where they released this, is it 92 plus icon?
Oh, the 93.
93. That was a no-brainer for me because I've just been like swamped in fodder for weeks. So I had to do it, even though I don't really like gambling on that kind of thing. But that's the best thing they've put out the whole of Team of the Season. Unfortunately, I didn't get like an amazing pull out of it. But it's like, what are they expecting people to do with all the stuff that they're packing that's worth nothing on the market? You just end up like sticking them into SBCs you don't really want to do, which adds dissatisfaction to the player experience, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that SBC being great. It's expensive, but we're getting lots of fodder at the moment. The problem I've got is I already had too much fodder, so I've done about 8 of the other Icon SBCs. I've started Frimpong just because I needed somewhere to put it. I couldn't open any more packs without starting Frimpong. I don't really want to do Frimpong, to be honest, but he's the best of the bunch. And now I'm a bit stuck and I haven't really got the fodder to be doing this 93 plus icon pick. I probably have. Well, I'm trying shit. I've got about 8 million coins still, and I've got loads of high-rated fodder in my club. But what I've been doing all year is I've only been doing SBCs if I can mostly complete them from my storage. But with Team of the Season now, I probably need to stop being a little bit tight and just do one of those. Because from the sort of videos and streams I've seen, it seems to be nearly 50-50 as whether you get a decent pull or not. I'm seeing lots of Mia Hams. I'm seeing lots of Tharams. I think I'm going to get R9 from mine, hopefully.
You reckon, do you?
Yep. Or Pele even, but, you know.
I got, for mine, Zambrotta, the Immortals icon, which isn't worth much. So, initially disappointed. However, I have put him in my team, and I actually really like the card. So whilst it wasn't what I wanted, I've actually got a viable card out of it. So I guess in that sense, I can be grateful. But it was an expensive one in terms of the fodder that went into it, believe you me. But it had to go. It was literally like every day you log in and you do the various like upgrade SBCs and bits and bobs, and you open your packs that you get from rewards from just doing objectives. And you just can't open them because your storage is full.
Yeah.
There's nothing to put it into other than doing Team of the Week SBCs, because that's the only kind of useful thing you can do with them at the moment on a sort of guaranteed day-to-day basis. So I had to do this SBC, and I don't feel great about it because the amount of like 89, 90s, 91s and a bunch of special cards I have would have been nice to put into a guaranteed player that I really wanted, but they're just not putting them out there at the moment. I mean, can you imagine if that Osimhen had been an SBC? Like the amount of people that would have like torn the club apart to have done it would have just trashed everyone's clubs out completely.
Oh, I was saying that maybe to Pompel yesterday, or maybe in our general chat. All this needed from Team of the Season was them to put one of the decent cards out of Team of the Season out as an SPC. And I suppose they've done that with Due and Frimpong a little bit, mate. But Frimpong needs Bruiser, probably.
Frimpong's more of an attacking player. I don't care what anyone says. You shouldn't be really playing at right back. But if you think about the grander scheme of things and the kind of journey that EA puts us on every year, a lot of people who are going to be able to go big on a card like that probably already have a Cafu, probably already have a Carlos Alberto, a Thuram, someone who can play right back already. You're going to be spoilt for choice, or if they're a really good player, they might have won that Mycon from the friendly year league and whatever. It's like, did we need another outstanding right back when there's been SBCs and various other challenges to get good right backs? I'm like, you could have done something a little bit more different, but God bless you for using Frimpong at right.
But the
He's
thing
definitely
is,
a right-sided midfielder as far as I'm concerned.
EA treating him as a right back. He's always been a right back in this game, I think. He's got no shooting play
he's viable
styles.
when his pace advantage is so much greater than the cards he's defending against, but that's not the case now, right? So you're trading a tiny speed advantage for being out. Players you're playing against are going to be a lot taller than you, a lot more powerful. Those are the words I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I just don't see him doing much of a job defensively, and even like attacking wise, he's not so fast. He's going to fly past the Team of the Season left backs that are in the game now that he's going to be attacking. So I thought about it and I just saw the amount of squads he wanted. I was like, no, that card will not deliver at this stage of the game for me. And I've already got some good right backs, so just wasn't necessary, unfortunately.
He's not got the strength for a right back. He's got 80 strength. Don't get me wrong, he's got 94 interceptions, 94 defensive awareness, 94 stand tackle. But that 80 strength without Bruiser is an issue. And, you know, you could play him as a right mid or whatever, but with no shooting play styles either. I'm thinking I'm just going to abandon anyway. I've done half of the squads, but there's no point. There's no point in me putting another 4.
You're gonna tap out.
There's no point in putting another 4 90 rated squads in there for a card that I'm never going to use. I've got Brad Halliday, Evo from Bradford City. I've got Cafu. I've got DeCosta, who I've Evo'd, who's probably
that's a beast card.
Better than he is. But yeah, I think this content has just been, there's so much of it. I was saying yesterday, like, we just seem to be going through the motions, not really packing anything. EA want you on the game, whether that's the app or actually on your console. Every day you've got half an hour's worth of upgrades to do every single day. You're playing, I don't know how many hours of Rivals, and you generally not rewarded for that. I would be more than happy of putting those hours in, even if it were just to get enough fodder to do a card that's going to go into my team. I think big SBCs need to become regular so that people have got a place for their, everyone's got Hullet at the moment, everyone's got Thuram, and I get it, like, everyone's got those cards, but if you're going to give that amount of fodder out, you can't just expect some people just to be doing gambles all the time. Especially when you're not getting anything from them.
When you do a gamble, the chances are you're getting something shit. It's a wonderful feeling when you do get something good. It's like one of the best feelings the game can provide, but most of the time it's bad, which then leaves you feeling like trash, just like gambling in real life does when it doesn't go the way you want it to. And what a horrible situation to present to your player that has worked hard either in gameplay or through menus to obtain that fodder, then just to basically slap them in the face with a card they don't want. I think they've got to come up with a way whereby people get something they want, even if it's not the absolute be-all and end-all. But there's too much content in this game that's just straight up bad. Like, the amount of, what's her name? Kelly Smith? God, because she's got so many high-rated cards. I think I've packed her 3 times in various forms this year. No one wants her. No one wants her. If you got her in the first month of the game, I'm sure she would be amazing. But any other time, trash. It's just like, why are these cards in these SBCs? Like, if you're doing a 93 rated icon SBC, take out the ones no one fucking wants. You know who they are. It's just like, you're just adding an extra 0 to the roulette table. It's just like you're just punishing people for being stupid enough to play your little game. It's
you're not adding an extra 0. You're adding an extra full team of zeros by adding the women to the to your red picks or whatever, because a lot of people, and I see it, a lot of people don't use these female cards. They don't.
With a few exceptions, like you're going to use
very few exceptions. Like you look at the women's team from this week. There's 1 or 2 cards in there that people will use. I don't know if anybody's wanting these cards though. When people get the red picks this week, are they like, oh man, I hope it's harder. I hope it's harder. Well, it's probably not going to be harder. But yeah, going back to the icon SBCs, I did 8, and it got to the stage where my storage has filled up again. It's filled up again. I need to do another icon to get rid of dupe storage so I can open some packs. And the best you can hope for is like, oh, maybe that'll be okay for an Evo at some point. That seems to be the content. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of the content is like, oh, maybe that'll be good for an Evo at some point. And cards like that Wirtz that I was talking about tonight, that's probably come good for an Evo now. I've had that card for 6 or 8 weeks in my club, just sat there doing nothing. But it's lucky it's not for most people. It's probably gone in an SBC by now, so people haven't got that opportunity to put these cards into an Evo. And I do love that we've got a lot more cards and people's teams are varied. There's people using all sorts of teams now. And if you do get big SBCs, you're going to, everybody's going to have Hullet, everyone's going to have Thuram. But I do think this icon SBC that's come out is probably the best, probably the best way to do it without giving everybody the same cards. At least if you're doing that, you make it putting a bit of variety into the cards.
My problem with the whole thing, Paul, is that it's not just the lack of likelihood that I'm going to pack something good. I don't think there's any icons I actually want, full stop. I don't like any of them. I hate icons in general. I think they're so boring. And you know what I'm like for being a contrarian with my squad
Yeah.
building. I hate building teams that are full of players that everyone uses. It bores me to fucking tears. So who am I going to pack if I want to be a bit different? Like, it would feel nice to pack Pele or something like that, but and I would use it, but I wouldn't be thrilled about it. It wouldn't be as good as getting, I don't know, who's big from Serie A, this like a 94 team of the season Raspadori or something. I would be far more excited about that if that happened to be. I'm sure you won't get one, but point in case, that's the kind of player I'd be more interested in, or a Lautaro or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that's actually slightly unique and you won't see every time you log in and play Rivals or Weekend League. I think the whole icon thing is done to death. It's boring. It overly influences the squad building in this game year on year far too much, and it adds an enormous amount to why the game feels stale once we get to Christmas, because people have loaded up on the one or two big icon SBCs that EA put out, and that's like a couple of slots of their team sorted for most of the year then, and they're going to play 500 or 600 games of those icons, and it's just dull. It's really, really dull. If they're going to stick with doing icons, get rid of all the ones you've got and bring in like 20, 25 new ones next year. We've got to keep cycling them in and out and not just having the same ones year in, year out. It's so bloody boring. Same with heroes as well. We need to get a few more of those in there, because with heroes, you can basically take anyone who's retired, who's had a semi-decent league career, and make a card out of them. Like, they don't have to be some World Cup winning beast from 50 years ago that no one ever saw play live or on TV, like most of the ones EA make.
Yeah, we need something to mix it up. But that brings us on to Season Pass. Last week we spoke about it a little bit, or the week before, but now we're getting to the time where it's time to put some of these playstyle pluses onto cards. Have you thought about who you're going to be putting these on, or have you already started putting some of these on, Matt?
I'm going to leave it as long as I can, because they've got quite long expiry dates on them, haven't they?
Yeah, 30 odd days, I think, on some of them, and yeah.
I'm going to wait. Serie A team of the season, see if anyone from that needs that little bit of extra help. I'm just very conscious with Evos at the minute that anyone that I'm going to work on at the moment could easily just be supplanted by something that comes out in team of the season in a week or two's time. So you've got to be quite committed to the card that you add in those two, otherwise they're just wasted. And it's not the end of the world if you put it on a card that you end up not using, but it would be nice to get a few cards that you know you're going to use for at least a few weeks, maybe, if you're lucky, and just get that extra little boost out of them with those play styles. So I think we're all quite guilty of wanting to knee-jerk pick someone to go into a new Evo, someone to receive one of these playstyle upgrades. I know friend of the show and supporter Osmu, who's very active in Discord, shout out to the Discord community, he did what we suggested last week, and he had the player of the month, Mason Greenwood, who he's further evoed and then added the tiki-taka skill upgrade to add to his Flair Plus. So I'm waiting for feedback on him, but the initial reaction was that it's made him quite hard to contend with. So want to hear more about that and anyone else who's experimented in a similar style, but that was like a good use of that one. He's created a super unique card on that basis. I'm sure that there are other combinations out there that we haven't looked at and or talked about at this point, but don't just slap it on the first semi-decent card. Have a think about, are you making something unique? It's a little bit different. Does it stand out? Is it going to bring you a higher quality of game experience or give you that advantage that you want it to? Because we don't get many like Evos of this nature, right? These can be quite powerful if used correctly. So just consider your choices very carefully.
Yes, I would definitely hang on as long as you can, because, you know, we don't know what's coming, do we? So, yeah. And you don't know what you're going to pack over the next week or two. You know, you might put Tiki Taka on somebody today, then pack a card where you're like, man, this card would be awesome with Tiki Taka. So yeah, I'd hold off. But saying that, I am just about to put Pinged Pass on De Jong, the road to the final De Jong SBC.
You'd think he'd have that, wouldn't you?
Say that again.
You would think he would have Pinged Pass, but
yeah, you would have thought so. But he's only got 2 play styles. Barcelona bottled it, didn't they? So he didn't get his last upgrade. My other
That's
thoughts.
one I want to talk about very quickly. Sorry to interrupt you. Is the upgrade from that semi-final? Basically, all it did is added 1 play style. You know, the card still hasn't received any stat upgrades. So Fratesi, who I've got, effectively isn't much better than he was before. You know, it's a really poor upgrade path in the midst of so many quality, cheap midfielders coming out for team of the season. So unless they win that card's not really going anywhere. But you can put Fratesi into the new Evo that's come out today. So think of that as you may.
Yeah. That comes back to, again, with content, like, you almost get a bit lost with it. There's just so much going on, trying to keep on top of it all. And this is coming from somebody who's quite engaged with the community, quite engaged with what's going on with the game. Not as much as I was, but I'm still quite engaged. It's a lot to keep on top of. So if you're stressing and worrying about, oh, what if I do this? Like, just try and enjoy it as much as you can and try not to just trying to regret what you do and just move forward, go on with it. We're at that time of the year now where it's just let's go and send it.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about it somewhat recently, where we mentioned that in years gone by we've perhaps wanted to consume everything that EA have put out, and you just can't now. You have to accept that the fear of missing out is real, and you can't do everything unless you're willing to be around the game and play it around the clock. You can't do every Evo, you can't do all the squad battles, you can't do all the rivals, the friendlies, the weekend league. It's like to consume everything is extremely demanding.
Yeah, it
at
is.
This point. So you just got to pick the lanes that you're happiest with, that you think give you the most bang for your buck, and stick with them. And if you miss the odd Evo, so what? But it is annoying when there's something you've been putting to the one side. I think I'll do that in a couple of days when I'm less busy, and then you just forget about it and it expires. It's super annoying. Maybe some of these Evos should have slightly longer shelf lives. I don't know, but yeah, it's hard to keep up with all the content, and you know, you don't have to play everything. But I know some people would like to be able to. It's just not feasible now. But perhaps this is something that they need to look at for next year's game or beyond that, is just being able to concentrate things down to 1 or 2 game modes to funnel all the traffic into those to keep healthy player counts, and don't spread it over squad battles, rivals, weekend league, friendlies, etc., etc. We need like 1 or 2 modes, a chill out mode and a competitive mode, and then just let everyone just do their brains in. But having like 4 or 5 different things that take up such a large amount of your time, particularly during summer, you know, there's got to be a lower player count than there was earlier on, right? Because the weather's picking up. People are touching grass for a change, so this is something they need to be aware of. And because we've got no summer tournament on the international stage this year, it's like, how much are people going to be tuned into what's going on in FC when there's no like real life way to connect it to the game this year?
Yeah, it's that FOMO and that, like, you need to get past that. You can enjoy this game so much more if you're not trying to like not miss a trick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. At the moment, I'm just doing rivals and trying to do weekend league. Yeah. Anything beyond that is a bit much. Maybe the odd bit of rush to do an Evo, but I don't have time for squad battles. As much as I tend to enjoy doing friendlies, I don't have time for that either. And let's say playing whatever the current, is it the Bundesliga Cup to get Xavi Simons? It's not a good enough card for me to to want to go after, and I'm almost certain we're not going to get enough wins to get it anyway. So
Well,
that one's on the back burner for me.
I was just going to ask you about that, Matt, because I really want that card. I really want
because
that
it's
card.
hard to get though, or because you actually want the card?
No, I really want him. You know, he would. I'd prefer that card over Wirtz as one of my cams. One, because he's probably a lot rarer than Wirtz is going to be, but I do think he'll be a better card. He looks absolutely bang on.
They've made him more of a finisher with this one than the previous 92, which had Tiki Taka Plus. They removed that, giving him, I think, normal Tiki Taka, but then giving him like 2 finishing playstyle pluses.
Yeah.
So it's a different take on some of the previous versions of the card, and he's got fewer positions as well. He's left winger plus cam plus, whereas the previous version had right wing as well. So, and his original. Nah, I forget what I was going to say about the original. I'm talking shit. Anyway, point being is, this is one of the things that annoys me a little bit in terms of how they make new cards when they sort of iterate on the existing one. They don't necessarily stick with the theme that they've been going down. They can sometimes completely change them up. Like we were talking last week about certain cards that add Flair Plus early on in the game and they just don't add them to new versions of it. And this one losing Tiki Taka Plus, I think, is a big blow. At least the way that I would like that card to play. I don't know how you feel about it. You might think that the finishing play styles are more important.
Yeah.
But for me, that's a sad loss, unfortunately. And I'd be a little bit gutted about that.
I would use him as my shadow striker cam, because I have one on wide winger and one at shadow striker. But you could also put Tiki Taka on him from your season pass, which...
This is true.
You know, that's...
maybe that's what they're counting on, I guess.
That's why I really like these play styles from season pass, because you can make unique cards. I just wish we'd have got it a little bit sooner, that type of thing, so we could have been building a card along the way, sort of thing, you know, that were a little bit more unique. But I do think that we'll get more of that next year, sort of earlier in the game. But yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to get the wins, but I'm going to give it a good go, because if not, even the rewards outside of the main card are pretty good. So even if you get, you know, most of the way there, where last time I did get most of the way there, I think I fell short of 1 or 2 wins, which the capped at 8 play styles.
Right, yeah.
So
you've got a card you want to put into an
he's not gonna
Evo
fit
and
us
the
in
capping
there.
you on play styles and stuff.
That's a really good point. All previous Evos that were allowed 10 and 9 play styles, you're a bit screwed with it. But I don't know what the game is at the minute a little bit with some of the content. This is what I think it comes back to again. They've been too much. So people are maybe being a bit spread thin. And little bits of things are being missed that are really starting to frustrate the community. And, you know, for a lot of us, me included, it doesn't take a lot for us to start getting frustrated. And then all these little things sort of snowball and it just becomes, you know...
It's an interesting
like
one.
You've lost a weekend league game which you didn't feel like you should have lost. And then some content comes out that day which ain't terribly bad, but it's just a bit slack. Before you know it, you're on Twitter, you're telling people why this game's bad and why this... Do you know what I mean? Like, and you see it all the time.
Speaking of that, there was a video going around on our sort of private chat about Nick Run the Foot Market's done some videos lately where he's really laying into the game. And it's just like, this isn't anything new. I don't know what he isn't getting that he thinks he should be getting that's anything new from the last several years. It's like, I don't know what would make him happy at this point. And I think in his videos he's like determined to make it clear that he doesn't think he's got fatigue from playing the game for too many years, but I think it's pretty fucking obvious he does, whether he wants to admit it or not. And I think we all have to have that conversation with ourselves at some point, but I don't want to go into this in too much detail because I've laid into this guy in the past before, and for all intents and purposes, I think he is a good guy, but he doesn't show the basic restraint of, if I'm not enjoying it, I won't play it. He just carries on turning up and suffering every day. And if people don't step out of it, you're not giving EA any reason to change a goddamn thing. And they're setting a very poor example to their community by just sticking around constantly.
I do think, though, I said this in our chat the other day, that it's tough when it's your job.
Well, that is true, but it's not. He's not confined to just do FIFA stroke FC. He could do other stuff.
Yeah, and people do follow him, actually. When he goes and plays other games, he does try, he tries all sorts.
It's a risk.
And people
they don't want to. It's like, I think one of the things that keeps some of the players sticking around who clearly aren't enjoying this game as much as they used to is there's a routine to it that they're comfortable with, and they just keep turning up. And things just won't be that different very often because, by and large, it's the same game year on year. A lot of the content's very similar year on year. The gameplay, is it getting better? It's debatable. Some people would say no. And if you like the gameplay how it used to be, well, the people who made those games are gone. So they're not likely to turn it back to the way you used to like it. It's going to be slightly different every year going forward. So it's just like, at some point, rip the Band-Aid off, decide you're going to do something else and start building up your daily routine around and that. But if they keep on like talking about how much they dislike the game and keep turning back for it, coming back to it every day, no matter what, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I'm the only person who's played the game as long as I have and took a pretty decent break away from it for like 18 months. And I was quite happy in that break until I eventually got to a point where all the games that I like playing aside from FIFA weren't delivering either. And I was just super frustrated in my spare time, and I just had to come back because I had nothing to do with like a big chunk of my spare time. And it's imperfect. In some ways, it's going in bad directions. But if you take a break from it, and I don't mean like a couple of weeks, I mean like months, maybe a year, maybe longer than that, you'll come back and you'll appreciate it more for what it is, not what it isn't. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I could say for people like Nick. And there's a lot of them. I think Inception's another one. I'm sure there's many, many of them. They just haven't had a long enough time to miss the game. And it's just like coming back to an abusive relationship over and over again. I know we've seen the negative side of things, whereas it's not perfect, but there are some good elements to this game as well that if there was no satisfaction in it, we just wouldn't come back at all, right? So there's definitely something in it, but there are some sort of self-harming patterns that people demonstrate with how they talk about this game that they're not prepared to have a frank conversation with themselves about. But anyway,
I think as well with this game, it's so difficult because you can play this game all week and have so much fun, and then you can go in on a Saturday, jump on and play half a dozen games, and it be the worst gaming experience you've ever had.
That's true. That's one thing that I think we're all universally in agreement about, right? That they
this
need
game
to make
can be different every time you log on. And I think that's one of the main things that frustrates so many people, because they know how good and how fun this game can be, but it's not always that. It's almost like, I won't say that, never mind.
Cut that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I just remember we're live on Twitter, so I won't say what I was going to say.
He almost cancelled himself. Oh dear.
No, I'm not sensitive. Actually, no, I was going to say it's like an abusive partner
Well, that's what I just said.
that, you know, you just keep going back. So
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what it is.
things are great for a
because you
while.
had some good times with that person, but it's mostly gone
the
to
gear
shit.
crack now and again. You know, and it's fucking miserable. But it is fun sometimes.
It is. It really is. And I think we do take that for granted a lot as gamers, especially because we're a very fickle bunch of people when there's so much other choice, especially like free-to-play stuff nowadays, that compete for your time and attention away from FIFA. It's easy to just like put FC down and go play Marvel Rivals and have no regrets about it because it didn't cost you any money. And at the moment, I know that game's had its problems recently, but in general, that's riding the crest of a wave. Whereas FC does feel like year on year, it's on a slightly downward trajectory. And when you have the shareholder calls talking about it quite openly, you know that there's issues. I think they're going to pull some big levers in the next year or two. I don't know what they are. We had that interview a few months ago, the gameplay guy talking about the various like play styles and stuff that they're introducing, some of which they've done this year that are really going to impact the game. I think they've got to find a way to be their own disruptor, not wait for a competitor to do it, and be brave to change or move away from the established formula that's brought them so much success. Because if they don't, it's just going to be a very slow death for the game. I expect to see some fairly big changes in the next 18 months to 2 years, I would say. I know that's a long way because we're still in FC 25, but some of us might not be around for it. But they've got to make big moves. They know that this isn't getting the kind of reception from the established player base that it used to. They need to do something quite bold to keep it ticking along, I think.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do something because they can't always be sort of coming out of this, you know, we fixed it, everything's great, lots of people come back to the game, it turns to shit again, people are frustrated, they do something else, and then, oh, everybody's happy again. Like, they can't, people will soon get tired of that. They're like, we keep coming back, but then it goes to shit again, so I'm not going to keep coming back. So yeah, something has to change, I think, for the, you know, for the game at large. What else have I got written down here that we were going to talk about? Something else. It's been going on all year, but I'm seeing people complain about it. People buying cards for the teams and losing massive amounts of coins just because of these Evos. And I don't know what the answer is. Like,
what? So we're just talking just general
so you
market
go
value
buy
going through the floor.
Saliba or Pacho or whoever it is.
What, an anticipation it's going to go into an Evo?
No. They're thinking, I'm going to buy this card for my team. This is one of the best centre-backs in the game. He's going
to buy team of the season.
Yeah, he's going to hold value because he's one of the best in the game. And then a centre-back Evo comes, or they haven't even needed that. Cards have just been dropping because people are on to the next new thing. So it don't give you the opportunity to hold cards and use them without being like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to lose a third of my coins on this 1.5 million coin card I've bought. If you want to keep cards in your team, you've got to take that on the chin, I think. And I never used to do it. I always used to say, buy your cards.
Change your team every week.
Buy your cards when you're using them. Do not hold cards. But I don't know if it's just laziness or just whatever. I've just been buying cards and Yeah, it's fine. Like Saliba, I'd bought him. I'd used him for 5 or 6 games, 10 games maybe. And we're going to sell him. And we're like, all right, be fine. I'll use him again this week in Rivals or whatever. And I've ended up losing 500k on him. He's gone down just through,
They're putting out 50, 60 new cards a week because they're putting 3 teams of the season in every week. And even though they might not put out a centre-back that's quite as good as Pasha or Saliba, they're still going to be extremely good to the point where the demand just isn't there to go that extra mile to get the next step up. Like, the ones you're packing are probably good enough for most people's level. So why do you need the best in class one that's going to cost you a shitload more and then will deflate in value very, very quickly? I think it's like the people who've been around for many years just know how this works. It's like anything you buy at this stage of the game gets overlapped by the following week extremely quickly. And these team of the seasons are going to be like dead as a dodo in a few weeks' time when whatever comes next comes out. It's just the power curve. It's less of a curve now. It's a vertical cliff face. Like every week it's just woof. So every market move has to be, if you're sensitive with your coins, has to be quite considered, I would say. I think most of my team is untradeable at the moment. I haven't put any serious coins into a player in God knows how long. So I'm okay generally, but we're all like dying to use some of the new content every week. Like, it's quite an exciting time to log into Footbin and see what comes out every Friday or every day. But it's more expensive than the face value of the card because okay, it's going to cost me this much today, but then that card will be worth 30% less tomorrow. So it's really costing me a lot more.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to think about. It's not just the price you pay on the day you buy it. It's the residual worth of it diminishes enormously the longer you keep hold of it. And there's not many cards that are trending upwards at the moment. I think some of the elite ones do. Like, I think Barcola started off at 3 mil, went down to like 1.5 and is back over 2, but that's rare. Not many of those are happening at the moment.
Yeah. Pacho, he went 950k. He started going up. I sold him at like 1.2, I think, something like that, and he just carried on going. He went up to 1.7 even, maybe. He carried on going. He's back down a bit now, but those are a rarity. But yeah, just pushing us again, I think, towards either not valuing coins or just wanting untradables and being happy just using untradables, doing evos. And we've been saying this for a couple of years now, but we must be getting there. We must be getting closer and closer to the transfer market just not being a thing anymore.
It'll happen, or it'll diminish to a point where it's far less relevant than it is now.
Yeah.
And it has to enable them to enter so many markets globally, and it's a good look for EA if they get ahead of the game and start doing what regulators want before they ask for it. So at some point it's going to go, and this is where the popularity of Evos is going to save their bacon, because they can basically put out a profile of a player that you can add to your card via an Evo, and it delivers the card that you would have otherwise gone and bought off the market. And everyone gets the content that they want, not a bunch of random shit they don't care about. So as much as I enjoy the market, and it's been like half the game for me since I've started playing Ultimate Team back in FIFA 09, I think it's ultimately better now that we have Evos, providing that they're done responsibly, and perhaps they do let you add an Evo to more than one card. Like the ones tonight, you could have put on 2 or 3, no bother, and some people will have demand for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be the route forward for the game, and we can start getting used to it. But if every time you step into the market your fingers get burnt so massively because everything devalues so quickly, then who's going to miss the market really? There's not many people who can continually make moves and hold market value or make money the way that the market is right now. And I know it's an extreme case. It's not how it is most of the season, but right now it is. And I think there's a big segment, maybe even the majority of the people who play this game who won't miss the market because it's something they've never been able to fully wrap their heads around. And they'll feel on a more level playing field without it. And that's probably good for the player base in general and definitely good for EA. It won't be good for you or I, but it'll be good for the Timmies, for sure.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's probably a good place to end, Matt. We've been at it an hour and 5 minutes. We've spoken about a lot there.
So do we think it's Serie A next up on team of the season on Friday?
Oh.
I'm
Yes,
not missing something, am I?
I don't know where that timetable's gone that we had.
I'm presuming so anyway. So
have you still got loads of packs, Matt? Yeah.
No, I've been using them. Right. I did have a big stash until that Icon SBC come out, and then I was able to clear my untradeable storage, so I started opening packs just to try and get some 89s, 88s that I needed and whatnot. Because I'm not overly confident that I'm going to get what I want from the packs anyway. I'm not going to start packing loads of like Serie A blues, so I'll just maneuver around that as I see fit. If there's one or two cards I want, I'll buy them, whatever. And if I lose all my coins, it doesn't matter because the game's nearly over.
Yeah. It is Serie A this Friday.
Tremendous. What are the other two leagues?
Oh, you're asking fucking wild questions now, Matt.
It must be like Portuguese league, I would have thought. Oh. Pompel says it's NWSL, so just two. I wouldn't be surprised if we get Liga Portugal. That would be a good one.
Oh, yeah, it'll probably be some like rest of the world or something maybe, or some... I don't know, because Serie A don't have any. They only have like 5 female cards, don't they?
Yeah. I think this is one of the cooler aspects, and maybe this was a happy accident, but by making, let's say this week as an example, Bundesliga is the main team, Women's Bundesliga is like the secondary team and somewhat packable cards, and then making the sort of third off-league quite rare. I think that's kind of cool because we've got a plethora of team of the season, easy to obtain content, and then a bunch of stuff that isn't. So we're not going to see loads of Osimhen's running around, stuff like that, Fred's, Davinson Sanchez's. So you've got at least something exclusive for the people who like the rare stuff like me. Not that I'm necessarily going to obtain any of those cards, but I like the fact that they're something you have to strive for and not just given on a plate. So I like that they've been doing that with the third league out of the 3 that come out every Friday. So whether they meant it or not, I don't know, but it kind of works for me.
Well, roll on. No, I'm not saying roll on Serie A. Let's just keep Bundes here a little while till I've packed some of these. But that was fun. Thank you for those watching live on X, which I forget about all the time. It used to be just our Discord watching, but now Elon and his crew are watching live on X. Those in the chat, those still watching in the Discord, and whatever else you're watching, or even if you're just doing it the old-fashioned way and listening to it on Spotify or Apple Pod or whatever, we appreciate you a lot. That's why we're still doing it. Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging about. Thank you for listening to this outro from me, because this is fucking getting horrendous.
And may all your red picks be monsters and not discard trash.
Yeah, and I don't just mean some of those female Bundes cards. See you later. It's been emotional.
You guys.